Hi guys, Asif Sheikh here, your lifestyle coach. I would like to welcome each one of you to this video. Today we're going to be speaking about the importance of CV. So before you go ahead and you give a face-to-face interview, you usually have to share your CV with the company, and it is a very important process. If you guys are realizing that you are sharing a lot of CVs to the organizations and you're not getting a response, then these might be the reasons. So I would like each one of you to pay very close attention on the importance of the CV, especially in this COVID or the post-COVID world, where people are just not going to entertain you as a walk-in. Everybody is going to ask for your profile first before you go ahead and give a face-to-face interview or a video interview or a telephonic interview. Okay, so we'll start with the first point. First thing is, I would like to correct a few pronunciations. You call it the resume, okay? You do not call it resume. So there are three ways you can address the particular profile. You can either call it the resume. Okay, what resume means is basically when you're working out in the gym and or you're watching a movie and then you go to the washroom, or you take a small break and then you come back and you start exercising and you start with the movie. That's called resuming. You're resuming back to what you were doing. Okay, this is called the resume. That's very important for you to understand. Then we call it the bio data, which is a little outdated term. But the third way how you can address this is the CV. Okay, the full form of the CV is curriculum vitae. That's how you exactly pronounce it. A lot of people mispronounce this also. So please, before you go and tell people this is a copy of my resume, please ensure that you get your pronunciations right. The second and the most important thing is, this has not to be taken for granted, because this is your first impression. Like I said, in the COVID or the post-COVID world, or probably when you're going to be applying for jobs on the job portals or on social media platforms, you will have to first forward a copy of your resume or your CV. Obviously you cannot take that lightly. That's your first impression. A lot of times I see people, they do not put across a presentable profile. It is usually not updated and they take it very lightly and they expect the client or the employee to assume what your qualities are. The resume, my friends, has to be updated. It is your first impression. It has to create that impact for the employer, create that eagerness for the employer to meet you. So keep this point in mind. It's very important. It has not to be taken for granted. Update your CV before you send it. I have seen in my experience that a lot of people have shared their profiles with me and they said that I'm sharing my CV, but I will soon share the updated profile with you, or I will share the updated profile with you soon. I mean, I really am not able to understand why can you just not update your profile and send it. I mean, it's a 2-page, 3-page, depends on the qualifications and the experiences that you have. You have to update the profile and then you have to send it to the employer, because let me just tell you, give you a very powerful tip over here. If you're going to be sending your profile which is not updated, and the second time if you send the updated profile, there are 60% chances that the employer will not even bother to open your CV, because he's already made assumptions about you. He's already made assumptions about your profile on the basis of the previous CV that you've sent. So the efforts and the conversion of you sending the CV twice, it does not work the way it does not work. Since the beginning, it just does not work. So please keep this in mind. I'm sorry for that. Another point that I would like to convey over here is, there is no point of showcasing your CV till the time you do not know the organization that you're applying for, what is the nature of the business, what is the designation that you're applying for, what is the job role that you're applying for, what expertise is required by the organization, what are the strengths that you need to have or to be capable to probably acquire that job, what is the vision that the company has so that you can go ahead and make your career objective, what are the skills that are required, what are the remunerations that they will be offering you, or else you will just apply blindly, go there, waste your time, and then you see that the salary range or does not match your expectations, and everything is going to just end up to be a waste of time, as well as the expectations that the company has from your particular profile. Till the time you do not update all these, you are not updated with all these things, there is no point. I mean, it's like you're going to an Italian restaurant and you're asking for Indian food. Does that make sense? You cannot go to an Italian restaurant and straight away ask for a biryani, right? So you need to know what job you're applying for you to edit your CV likewise, to put it across. And the last point, it's not the last point, The other point is no exaggeration. Okay, sometimes for you to get the job, there's a lot of exaggeration that is done on the CV and it is not done on realistic terms. What does that lead to, my friend? That leads to integrity issues, because if you're questioned deep into the aspects that you've mentioned on your CV and you're not up to the mark, there will be a lot of chances that the person, the employer, the interviewer will assume that there are some integrity issues that your profile already has, which has been gauged during the interview, and nobody is going to go ahead. So please be very realistic. Please be very realistic with your CV. Mention things that you can speak about, that you can elaborate on. It is very important. You write something, you cannot elaborate on it. The next question to you will be like, why did you mention this on your CV? So these are some nerve-wracking situations that you come across in the CV that makes you stammer, fumble, and then the entire interview process goes for a toss. Wrong expectations set will lead to stability issues. So if you're going to write on the CV and you're going to convey, I'm aware of this, I know ABC, I know XYZ, I know the whole world. Okay, and then when you actually start performing, the employer is exactly going to give you the job responsibilities as per how you've conveyed yourself on the CV and verbally during the interview. Now what starts happening there is the reality does not start matching the expectations of what the employer has from you. There's a big difference in the reality of the groundwork that you do, and there's a big difference in the expectation that the client has from you. Why? Because initially, what qualities you've embedded in the employer's head, you know it to yourself that you cannot perform to that up to your mark, and the client, the employer is very happy that he's hired somebody who's really up to the expectations, and then you keep falling on your face all the time when you keep getting responsibilities day by day, and the employer starts getting to know that, okay, I was misguided here, okay, I was misguided there. We have, like I said, in my previous videos also, we do consult and we do design a lot of we do design recruitment processes for our clients. Also, we help them implement their HR policies. So we guide our clients with very strict procedures of interviewing. We help them designing with their entire interviews so that they do not, fall as a bait to any wrong profiles coming their way. Because trust me guys, for employers, it's a big pain after they hire you, the investments they put in, the kind of training they want to put in. And if you're going to be joining a place where you're not up to the mark and then you have to leave the organization, it creates a bad impression about the employer to the existing employees who are working there. So it gets very, very unhealthy. The relationship gets really spoiled. So please ensure that you set up the right expectations, or else this will lead to further stability issues, my friends. Now the last point, draft your CV yourself. I had this amazing CV that I saw just a couple of days back, since we all wanted to resume work after the lockdown has just started opening up. And I got this amazing CV in my through LinkedIn. And I observed, I saw the CV, I was thoroughly impressed. It was very well designed, it was very well conveyed, everything was mentioned in detail, it was an apt profile, it was a one-stop solution for me. I could just figure out the entire profile in front of me and assume what the candidate is aware of by seeing the profile. But what happened is, the moment I aligned an interview and the first conversation, I happened to go ahead and tell the applicant that, I was really impressed with your CV. The applicant created a very big blunder over there and told me that, yes, actually one of my friends who's a web designer, I gave this CV to him and he designed this profile for me. Whatever impression I had about this particular individual was like 100%. It just went down. Everything started on a bad note. From there itself, I was under an assumption, if you guys cannot make your CV, see, you need to understand, when you're making your CV, you're giving it to the interviewer. Do you have a copy with you? You don't, right? So the employer is going to be holding the CV, the interviewer is going to be holding the CV and asking you questions on that. How will you answer these questions if you've not drafted that CV yourself? Or if you've just taken your friend's CV and you filled in the blanks and just copy pasted all the information, where you've not taken those efforts to draft the entire CV by yourself. See, it's okay to take a skeleton of a CV to understand that what I mean by a skeleton is what all headers are required in a CV. It's completely fine, like the headers I mentioned previously related to expertise, skills, and all the other aspects and all the important information that is required in a particular profile. It's completely fine to just take a skeleton, to just take an idea on what headers need to be mentioned on the profile. You're the best person to know yourself, to know your education, to know your experience, to know your roles and responsibilities, to know your expertise, to know your strengths, to know your skills. You're the best person to know all these aspects. So you have to draft your CV, take these headers, draft your CV likewise on the basis of what you actually have done in the past and your basic experiences. You can definitely go ahead and speak about your abilities that I'm sure you would be aware of, right? Because whenever we go ahead and see CVs, sometimes we see that everybody's hobbies are the same. Everybody knows swimming, everybody likes dancing, and everybody likes singing. Out of the 100 CVs I see singing, dancing, and swimming. And sometimes we ask them, oh, so you swim? No, sir, I don't know how to swim. Okay, so if you don't know how to swim, how is it mentioned in your hobbies? So even something like this small, comes up in your CV because you've not taken the efforts to make your CV, it can create a blunder. It can definitely create a big blunder. So please mark this point, my friends. Ensure that you take efforts to draft your own CV. Now, what happens is there are a lot of times people kind of fail or they get nervous. They are all prepared, from home. This is the way I will introduce myself and everything is thorough. But the moment they apply for the interview and they sit in front of the interviewer, sometimes the interviewer, very common question is, can you run me through your profile? I have your CV with me. Can you run me through your profile? Okay, now you are under an assumption that the employer exactly wants to know what is mentioned on your profile, and because you've not taken the efforts to draft the CV, if you write down something, you memorize it, right? If you are making something, you will automatically be able to memorize it. Now, since you've not made those efforts, you don't have that memorized into your system, you will not be able to take the employer through your profile because you've not taken the efforts of drafting your CV yourself. Okay. Hence, you need to put in the efforts for the same. You need to ensure that this CV it's a game changer, my friends. Especially right now, it is the need of the hour. How you're applying for jobs is more related to technology, where you are uploading your CVs on different platforms. That is actually your first screening round. What people used to assume is, when we are going for the interview, the first round that we're going to face is going to be our initial screening round. No, my friends, gone are those days. Your first screening round is going to be on the basis of your CV. Your CV is going to be read first. I will share a tip with you. Please understand that the HRs who are looking into your CVs, they will not be giving in more than 15 to 20 seconds to match your profile with their requirement. 15 to 20 seconds, if there is some relevance, your CV will be shortlisted. Otherwise, your CV will not be shortlisted. So please try to make an impression, try to make an impact. You should be able to look at your CV and be satisfied that yes, my CV is going to appeal to this particular profile that I'm applying for in the first 15 to 20 seconds. So I hope, guys, this video has brought in some value again, and I hope that you implement this. I've been consulting people on how to draft their CVs in the last 15 years, and still it's very surprising to see even people of managerial levels coming up with a very untidy and not updated CV. So please take this advice, my friends. This is going to be good for you. This is going to be for your betterment. There is one job that you apply for. You get through the job. You're sorted for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, till the time you want to be with the organization. It is a one-time effort for the upcoming years. So please take in these efforts. It's definitely going to be worthwhile. Thank you so much. I hope you've liked this video. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you think that this video has brought in any value to you, and you can press the like button as well. This will motivate me to make more videos further and put it across to you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good time.